What's up, guys? Good to be with you again. So, for today's topic, the Eagles are not going to the White House. Looks like the White House canceled the event. It's normal that the Super Bowl champions will go to the White House after they win the Super Bowl and have a little unnecessary ceremony. Anyway, Donald Trump canceled it. It was basically Trump avoiding what would have been an embarrassment for him. It would have been a PR disaster. And if there's one thing Donald Trump's good at, it is PR. In fact, I think that is the main thing that Donald Trump's good at. It's controlling the narrative. It's the reason why he was a business success, and it's also the reason why he won the presidency. It's something that nobody saw coming, nobody was able to deal with, that he could control the media narrative every single day. He could keep himself getting more airtime than anybody else. And I think this is just another example of him doing a pretty good job at that. The mainstream media is talking about this all day long. I just literally right before we went on, I believe it's still going on, but right before we went on, I was watching the press conference with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and everybody in the press is furious at Donald Trump for not having the Eagles there, and they're all blaming him for his incendiary language against NFL players kneeling for the national anthem. And like what actually happened here, and this has been reported, it's according to ESPN, basically huge chunks of the Eagles were not going to go. ESPN reported that most, if not all, of the black players on the Eagles were going to boycott the event, and that ESPN said that they had 5 players from the Eagles who had agreed to go. There was only 5 players who were confirmed. So for all the crap Donald Trump is getting in the press today, you can just imagine what the press would be saying if he had a ceremony with the Eagles there and none of the black players, and they had 5 Eagles there. The story would be big embarrassment for the White House, as you know, this proves how much black people hate Donald Trump, and what an embarrassment. Every other president could get the teams to come. Donald Trump can't even get the whole team there. So instead of that being the story, Donald Trump chose for the story to be, I won't allow these unpatriotic players to come to the team. They won't stand up for the flag. They don't support the military and the police, blah, blah, blah. And it's a better story for him. So once again, Donald Trump is controlling the narrative, and the media falls right into his trap by being outraged about this rather than the 100,000 other things that are going on that are far more outrageous than Donald Trump not having the Eagles to the White House for a ceremony. I mean, really, who the fuck really cares about that? It's completely meaningless. Now, the bigger, I guess, controversy, the bigger cultural controversy was all about players kneeling for the national anthem. Should be noted, the Eagles did not have any players who kneeled for the national anthem, but I guess they were still upset with Donald Trump enough to not want to go to the White House. So, fine. I mean, the whole kneeling for the national anthems thing started with Colin Kaepernick. And I was fine with it, to be honest. I mean, he said he was doing it to raise awareness about police brutality. I'm a person who believes that police are really out of control in this country, and there are major problems with the way our police departments police neighborhoods, and there's a lot of reasons to be outraged about that. And I really do think that anybody who does not acknowledge that the black community does have somewhat of a legitimate beef with the police, you're missing a pretty big part of American history. The police have always been just horrific in their treatment toward black people, and that hasn't really changed. This is not just based off things that I've read; it's based off things that I've seen in my life. It's pretty atrocious, and this is. We have a history in this country, not that old of a history of police, like the police being involved with the CIA, who's shipping in drugs into inner city neighborhoods, and then they go out and they arrest all the local crack dealers, and there's a whole lot of really messed up stuff. And so I'm fine with Colin Kaepernick bringing attention to that. I don't think it's worked very well. Nobody seems to be having a national conversation about policing practices or police brutality. The whole conversation seems to be about whether or not you kneel for a flag or whether you're patriotic or not. Also, I thought Kaepernick really missed the mark when he's protesting police brutality, and then he was seen with an image of Fidel Castro on his jacket in the locker room, and I believe he was wearing a Che Guevara T-shirt at one point. It's like, if you're going to protest police brutality, maybe you don't want to be a supporter of the Castro regime. They're just, for all the problems I have with the NYPD, the Castros were just a little bit worse when it came to officers of the state squashing liberties. But anyway, that's where we are. The conversation didn't go in the direction that anyone would have wanted it to. And then ultimately, I guess a month or two ago, the NFL said that for this upcoming season, they're making it against the rules to kneel for the flag, and they're going to fine teams if anybody kneels for the flag. Now, I don't agree with that decision. I don't like any of this like forced patriotism. And I certainly don't think it helps to like silence people's opinions to silence. It's just going to end up coming back out, and there'll be more of a backlash. So I disagreed with the NFL's decision, but I don't own the NFL, and I don't have a right to make that decision. And the NFL has a right to do what they want to. I mean, I didn't agree with ABC firing Roseanne, but ABC has a right to do that. I didn't agree with the White House Correspondents' Dinner throwing Michelle Wolf under the bus, but they have a right to do that. So it kind of falls into property rights, and basically they can do what they want to. I would say that for all the players who are so furious at Trump, and the fact that ESPN is reporting that no black players were going to come to the White House, seeing is how that's not really going to change anything. Maybe you'd want to put some of your pressure on the NFL to let you guys kneel for the flag if that's what you want to do. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, last I checked, there were quite a few black players in the NFL. You guys have a lot more power than you think. So, yeah, maybe that's where your protest should go. And I bet if there was a real protest about it, they could probably get that rule reversed. Look, the truth is that once it came down to this kneeling for the flag thing, what Donald Trump realized, and the reason why Donald Trump goes so hard on Twitter at these at the players who are kneeling, is because he realizes that probably most people agree with him, and definitely the vast majority of Donald Trump's base agrees with him. So, I think it's kind of stupid, but people, particularly on the right, they get very worked up about these like burning the flag issues or, not saluting the flag. Anyway, if you really wanted to protest something, I think more importantly than that, it would be, all the praise of the military in the National Football League. I mean, Jesus, all the people on the right who are like, I don't turn on the NFL for, to deal with politics. And I can kind of appreciate that. I mean, I'm completely obsessed with politics, but when I watch a NFL football game, I'm not really trying to get people's political opinions. So I can appreciate that. But I mean, Jesus Christ, have you been to an NFL game recently? I mean, it's literally, if you go there, it's like half the game is a commercial for the military-industrial complex, because the War Department is sending millions of dollars to these teams to basically make the military look good. And so if we want to get politics out of football, maybe we could start there. We could also start with not having taxpayers subsidize every new stadium that goes up. But I mean, it's the crazy thing about it is they have all these vets and all these people in the military and recruiters and all this different stuff at the games, and it's gives a very inaccurate representation of what's actually going on in the military. When Ron Paul ran for president in 2008 and 2012, he got more money from active duty military than every other candidate combined. He even got more money than Obama in 2012, who was the commander-in-chief at the time. One of the best kept secrets is that people in the military don't really like fighting unnecessary wars. They're not so into it. They're the ones who actually have to pay the price, them and the people of the countries who were attacking, of course. But anyway, so yeah, I'd be on board with letting players kneel for the national anthem. But if you want to go the route of getting politics out of the NFL, let's start with all the military propaganda. Get that out of there. Anyway, just in closing, this is a big win for Trump. Like it's amazing that the media still falls into this, but it's like, okay, so he's able to now change the narrative, and it's ridiculous, but he's able to create the narrative now that basically he won't stand for lack of patriotism. and the media is out there defending people who don't want to stand for the flag because they're so just bloodthirsty to get any story that makes Donald Trump look bad. And all that happens is that, number one, Trump's base looks at it and they go, good, he's being patriotic and he wants him to stand for the flag. Okay, so Trump wins favor with his base. And to everybody else outside of the people suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, who are never going to support Donald Trump anyway, to everybody else who's rational, they go, man, the media is really obsessed and outraged about another story that doesn't matter. So anyway, somehow this ends up being a win for Trump. All right, that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Every weekday, I'm doing these live streams now. And if you like them, if you want to see a longer form discussion, my podcast, Part of the Problem, is available on the Gas Digital Network every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. All right, talk to you guys soon.